Hi, and this is yet another part of Minecraft's Remove Textures. This time it's part 9 and this is another weekly video. And if you want to see the other ones, I made a playlist where you can watch all of the other 8 parts from this series. This series covers textures that either never made it to the game or were in some singular snapshots or versions. And if you enjoy content like this, I recommend liking and subscribing because it helps to grow my channel. And also, when we will hit 10,000 subscribers, I will do a face reveal. So now, let's start. And also another quick reminder that channel members get to see the videos on Wednesdays instead of Fridays. So if you want to become a member, you can do that and you'll see all of the videos a little earlier. So now, let's start for real. Starting off, let's talk about our favorite no function block, which was promised to get a function, but sadly it doesn't have one yet. It's the fletching table, and the fletching table got added in 18W44A for the update 1.14, which was the village and pillage update. And it had a different texture. The thing that was different is that it had this crafting table top, and also it has these darker corners. The middle was exactly the same. The only thing that kind of changed were the feathers on top of this crafting thing, and that's literally it. And also I should throw in a fun fact that for several weeks this table could not be crafted, and it took them around 20 weeks to actually add the crafting recipe for this block. So now let's move on to the next texture. Okay, many of you probably collect these banners and never use them, and I'm one of them. These also got added in 1.14 and they got added in snapshot 18W45A. And as a fun fact, at the beginning they were called illager banners, and they did not have the black lines in all of the corners, which is pretty interesting, and I like the current one, but the old one, yeah, was not a problem. Okay, so this texture is probably the funniest one that I have, and it's because it's in my folder with remove textures, but I have literally no source for when it got added and when it got removed. Okay, so if anyone literally has a source for this or knows when this was in the game, please tell me because I want to see these black feathers somewhere. Okay, so the wiki says that the normal feathers were added, or yeah, the texture got changed in 18W43A, so I'm guessing that the darker texture was probably made for the texture update, and that's why I can't find a source, because finding the textures from the texture update snapshots were a little harder. Okay, so here's probably a texture that you did not know about, and yes, access got added in one of the earlier Minecraft Job Edition in-depth versions, which was in 2010, but they did not look like this. At the beginning, on January 10th, 2010, they added access, and it had two sides. It had literally two sides which were the same, and this looked badass, and I wish that they kept it in the game. But yes, sadly 12 days after that they changed it, but still not to what we had. The axe was on the other side, which reminds me of the bow, which I covered in one of my previous videos. And after that, 2 days later, they changed the axe to the side that we have now. And yes, I wish that we had the two-sided axe, but I guess now we have the mace. So now, let's move on. Okay, so now I'm going to show you two coral textures which never made it to the game but were shown at Minecraft Live, and they kinda don't have any texture that they replaced because they don't look like any of the corals. The most similar one is the red one, so let me just show you that. Okay, so these two look pretty nice. The first one kind of looks like a sapling, and they have the similar colors. They have exactly the same colors, to be honest. And the second one, it kinda looks like a dead bush, and it is the most similar one to the red color. So yeah, I don't know what you think about this, but as I said before, all of the 1.13 textures, they were really unfinished when they were made, so that's why they look so bad. Okay, as another fact, this red color looked a little different at the beginning. So in snapshot 18W10A, they added them, and it kind of looked like a mix between the blue one and the pink one. And the snapshot 18W10B, which also a while later, it was literally the day after, they changed the texture into the more, I don't know, sticky one. And by sticky one, I literally meant to say that it looked like it had more sticks, it had more branches, I don't know. Okay, so now let's talk about one of the weirdest and sometimes one of the most annoying mobs, which is the slime. And you probably did not know that it had a different texture at the beginning, but yes, it had. Okay, so the slime got added on Secret Friday 6. It was on July 3rd, 2010. And the slime looked different. It did not look like it was made out of the slime we know now. The texture was much more plastic, the eyes did not go through the slime, it just felt pasted, but it felt like old Minecraft. And then 6 days later they changed the texture to what we have now. And it's still so nice to know that they had such a good texture at the beginning of the game. The game hasn't officially released yet, and that texture change was so good. It's one of the nicer things that they did during these times. Okay, so now let's talk about the poisonous potato, the item which was so good that they added an entire dimension for it. And yes, the texture change happened in 18W43A, but it did not look like what we have now. At the beginning it kind of looked like a potato, but just with green spots. And also later on during the other texture tests, they kind of came up with this texture which had some different particles for the potato. It looked a little different, and the texture for the potato itself was also different. But in snapshot 18W50A, they added the current texture for the poisonous potato. Okay, so many of you probably don't even care that this thing exists, and it's the calibrated sculk sensor. And yes, it had a previous version. It was kind of work in progress, so I can't say that this was a removed texture. This was just something that they worked on and then cancelled it. In snapshot 20W49A, they added this block into the unused textures, and it was just a sculk top, and then it had this transparent amethyst thing, which was pretty weird. And then in snapshot 21W13A, they removed the texture from the game files. And then 2 years later, in snapshot 23W12A, they added calibrated sculk sensors. So that was a pretty interesting development if you ask me. Okay, so now let's talk about a pretty funny story about the pufferfish item texture. So at the beginning, in snapshot 13W36A, they added pufferfishes, and it did not look like what we have now, and was in the game for around 7 weeks before it got changed to the other one. But it looked just like a normal fish. It did not look like a pufferfish at all, and it seems pretty fun in my opinion. Okay, so now you may ask why I have the other pufferfish texture. So here is the funny story. In snapshot 18W8B, they added the new pufferfish texture, and in the snapshot for the new textures for 1.14, which was 18W43A, they reverted the texture back to the old pufferfish that we had for several years. And then in the B version they changed it back, and there's a pre-random story, and I believe that it happened because when they did the texture update, they still had the old pufferfish texture in these files. So when they just converted the textures into the real game, they accidentally left the pufferfish there. Okay, but we haven't left the pufferfish case yet, because as I said before, in all of the Bedrock betas, they had different pufferfish and other fish spawn eggs, and they kinda looked like these small eggs. And yes, this was amazing, and I want this to be added, but now we got the new spawn eggs, so I won't complain. But still, I wished I had something like this in the game, but sadly we never got it. And this is how I'm ending this video. Hopefully you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please like and subscribe. It really helps to grow my channel. And remember, 10,000 subscribers means a face reveal. So thank you so much for watching, and see you next time.